We spend our early life climbing the ladder of success. Generally, in our culture, we do. And then we find at midlife that our ladder, unfortunately, most probably is set against the wrong wall. That's Campbell. And that's Jung, too, and that if we can be courageous enough to follow what is really calling us, then we finish the race. Welcome to the Laughing.Mystics, an unorthodox journey through the liturgical year with Laura Lewis Barr and Marci Maderi. All right, Marci. So
Hello,
happy
Laura.
to be with you, even though my brain is a little tired from all the deep work, all the deep swimming we've been doing.
I know, but it's so much fun.
It really is. It's fun. It's fun, but it also feels like very deep water for me. I don't know how it is for you, but yeah.
I'm often surprised where conversations go, and that makes it very interesting. But yes. So what Sunday do we have? Saints Peter and Paul, Apostles Sunday.
A reading from Acts. In those days, King Herod laid hands upon some members of the church to harm them. He had James, the brother of John, killed by the sword. And when he saw that this was pleasing to the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. It was the feast of unleavened bread. He had him taken into custody and put in prison under the guard of 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. He intended to bring him before the people after Passover. Peter thus was being kept in prison, but prayer by the church was fervently being made to God on his behalf.
On the very night before Herod was about to bring him to trial, Peter, secured by double chains, was sleeping between 2 soldiers, while outside the door guards kept watch on the prison. Suddenly, the angel of the Lord stood by him, and a light shone in the cell. He tapped Peter on the side and awakened him, saying, "Get up, quickly." The chains fell from his wrists. The angel said to him, "Put on your belts and your sandals." So he did. Then he said to him, "Put on your cloak and follow me." So he followed him out, not realizing that what was happening through the angel was real. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed the first guard, then the second. They came to the iron gate leading out to the city, which opened for them by itself. They emerged and made their way down an alley, and suddenly the angel left him. Then Peter recovered his senses and said, "Now I know for certain that the Lord sent this angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all the Jewish people had been expecting."
A favorite story of the early church, I'm guessing.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that was told and retold.
What do you think about it?
I like that Peter just did it. The angel said, "Put on your belt and sandals." So he did. "Grab your cloak, follow me." So he did. Just that trust in the mystical, and that he thought it was a vision. I think that's fascinating, but did it anyway.
Yeah. So as a miracle story, I guess I want to talk about this idea of miracles and how you feel about miracles and what miracles you might have had in your life. I do want to say we have someone in our life that we know that is at Lourdes right now. She's there right now. I've been thinking a lot about her. And I was telling Rick about Lourdes, and he could not hide his disbelief. Isn't exactly yes, there's disbelief, but it was bigger than that. It was more like, I think Rick represents a lot of people in my life that miracle stories don't go over very easily or well. They're hard to swallow. And I said to him, it doesn't matter to me how we explain it. We can find explanations for it all. It It doesn't matter. What matters is, and I looked this up, 5 to 6 million people go to Lourdes every year. So something is happening for people, and that's all that's important. I know that I've had things in my life that have felt miraculous, and I'll tell one little story and ask one for you. But before I do, I just think that people who really love miracles and want them to be literally true, and people who don't believe that could ever be anything like a miracle, I don't think that it matters. I mean, that's what I said to Rick. It doesn't, that's not a fight worth having. We can have science and we can have faith. And so I'm going to stop and let you respond to that before I tell my story and you tell your story. Sorry. I'm excited about the subject.
Yes. Miracles are both wonderful and frightening, I think, for people. Because if miracles are real, then how come I didn't get a miracle?
Right.
That's valid.
Yeah, they don't happen anymore like they did in the Bible.
Right. Or if they do happen, then why not me? What's wrong with me that I didn't get the miracle?
Nice.
And so I can understand why some people are resistant to that idea of miracle. Why is one person cured and not another? Mm-hmm. And I have a couple good friends who medically should have died and are both living and doing amazing things while my husband died. So it's just a tender place, I think, miracles. Because I do believe that the unexpected happens, but I don't know why. I don't know when.
Yeah.
I that's all a big mystery to me.
Yeah. I was raised by an atheist father, and I think I've mentioned when I was a kid, we would talk theology at the dinner table when I was 7 or 8. And I think I really hold him in my heart. And for him, when I discovered Jung, it was a way for me to have faith, because Jung looked at phenomena and he had explanations for phenomena. I think he would have an explanation for what happened to Peter. And so I was thrilled with that, because that felt like a bridge between me and my dad and me and anybody, which is here we are at this podcast. Same thing. I'm always working this same thing that is part of my destiny and fate, I guess. So, yeah, I think for people, modern people that have given up on any kind of faith because it's just not scientific, it doesn't make any sense, I want them to have a way back to the religious, what Jung called the religious function, that is part of our humanity, that's part of who we are. It's something we need, however we get it. Watching a sunrise, whatever it is, finding that sense of awe, wonder, and something bigger than myself. Anyway, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, miracles are, I think they're real, and I think they're a mystery.
Yeah.
And that explanation, of the phenomena, as you said, is a good bridge for some. And for others, it takes the mystery out of it and lessens the power of that moment. And power is not quite the right word, but
yeah, I'd like to understand that, because it makes me think about like the argument of evolution versus creationism. And that the idea of evolution lessening, and it doesn't lessen, no, and you're saying you agree with me, you're nodding.
I do. I agree with you.
So, in the same way, any explanation of any kind of thing that's miraculous, and the explanations are always very mysterious anyway. They're grasping at explanations, but I don't get how it lessens it in the same way that I don't get how evolution lessens God.
I guess some people, and I'm not necessarily one of them. I certainly am a strong believer in evolution, and I don't think that takes away any of God's grandeur or amazement on my part. But I think for some people, they resist having it all in their head and having it rational and logical. And to live a little more in the candles, in the incense, and the darkness.
Yeah, so I guess for me, and this is why Jung is not taught in psychology at universities, because he was too mystical for them.
Wow. I had no idea.
He really took a path that was ridiculed by so many people. But when he talks about God, or he uses the word the objective psyche, or he uses the word the collective unconscious, which isn't exactly the same thing, but these are all mysteries. He's just pulling it out of kind of more traditional ways in the same way that Teilhard did. Yeah, I think maybe what I'm hearing you say is scientists who say it's all in your head, that is something very different. Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
No, right. I just think different people approach miracles differently. I guess that's all I'm really saying.
Yeah, and I'm just always working at being a bridge and trying to find a bridge. Because I think it's great. We should all, I want us all, I want myself to be really tolerant of everyone's feelings and thoughts and beliefs. And
Amen.
God, I long for a bridge so that we can visit each other's shore and see what it is. What's the view from that side?
Right. And not to have someone totally walk away.
I remember when I was first learning catechism in grammar school, we're talking when I was 10, and this subject came up, a priest said something like the Bible was written in a way that was poetic and we shouldn't take it literally.
Wow.
I know, and that really helped me a lot. And so in terms of miracles, what he meant is, something happened to Peter, some clever person came in and was a, quote, angel and got him out of there. I mean, that's still fantastic. And if I want to write it as an angel came to him and all this stuff happened, that's cool too. What frees us up in our beliefs? What opens us up?
And I think that's unique for each person.
Yeah.
I want to hear your miracle story.
Okay. It's really not much of a miracle story. It's so easily explained by Jung. But so it was January 1st, 2010, and I was praying and just in a very, very receptive place. The thought came into my head like a voice, but not a voice, that said, go, this sounds so stupid, go to, Craigslist. Was it Craigslist? Go to Craigslist and type in the word theater. So I did, just like Peter, I did it. And I typed in the word theater, and the first thing that popped up was somebody looking for a certain script. They were looking for a script that had 2 characters, and they wanted to make a film of it. So I sent my script, Cloistered Honey, which is about a married couple. The wife runs away to a cloister, and he comes after her. And the story is about her search for faith and his doubt. and they struggle about faith in the whole piece.
Fascinating.
I just never get over this issue. Thank you, Dad. No, I like it. It's fine. But so they told me later that I was the first person to send in a script. They ended up choosing my script.
Wow.
They ended up making the film.
Wow.
And that was my first entrance into film. And the odds of all of those things happening, it's in the realm of possibility, of course. But that initial impulse, which felt a little miraculous. It's an intuition. We can explain it. But it's the time in my life that most kind of takes my breath away, the way it happened.
That's amazing. It's a great story.
Yeah, and I'm leaving out, the film took years to make, and there were so many obstacles. So many. It took about 3 years of obstacles. So the fact that it got made, and it is on Amazon, actually. It is actually on Amazon, Cloistered Honey. But, it's not a perfect film. Please be kind. But
I hope you put a link in the notes.
Okay. Yeah. And do you have a story?
Well, sure. So my first husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, unknown primary. And on October 5th of 2007, and was told that he would live 2 to 3 months. I remember sitting in the doctor's office looking for a garbage can because I thought I might, vomit.
Yeah.
Thinking, wow, okay, don't make a mess here. And tried a chemotherapy. And all of a sudden, he started to, I don't know if the cancer shrank as much as he stabilized. What I do know is we had a full year. Mm-hmm. And it was a 3-week cycle, so we could predict when he would be feeling well and when he wouldn't. So in that year, he and I went to the Twin Cities for a romantic weekend. We took the kids to Disney World for a week. We went to the North Shore of northern Minnesota for a week. We were living in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and went down to Chicago and saw Wicked. We went up to the Twin Cities and watched a Detroit Tigers Twins baseball game. And we had just a lovely, amazing year. All the laughter, all the time together as a family. Such a gift. And then on October 3rd, the next year, 2008, we were told that there were no more treatments for him. And then he did die that December. But it was the year. That was the miracle.
Wow.
So now we get to think about Paul.
The second reading is from Timothy, 2 Timothy. I, Paul, am already being poured out like a libation, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have competed well. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. From now on, the crown of righteousness awaits me, which the Lord, the just judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but to all who have longed for his appearance. The Lord stood by me and gave me strength, so that through me the proclamation might be completed, and all the Gentiles might hear it. And I was rescued from the lion's mouth. The Lord will rescue me from every evil threat, and will bring me safe to his heavenly kingdom. To him be glory forever and ever. Amen.
So something interesting about 2 Timothy
is
it's really written as Paul's last will and testament, like his final words. And what I find fascinating is that Paul didn't actually write this, that someone wrote it as if they were Paul, using their knowledge of Paul to do it. And I think that's why, for me, it sounds that there aren't a lot of rough edges in here.
He's too self-congratulatory.
Exactly. That is the phrase we're going for.
Well, I have a lot to say about this. The first couple sentences are just amazing to me. I am being poured out like a libation. If my life can be poured out like a libation, I do win the race. If I can offer myself to the world, I win the race. That's the winning.
Mm-hmm.
And the other major thing is, for Jung, the goal of life is to become who I am,
Mm-hmm.
who I truly am. And so if I become who I truly am, I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And I think about when Paul converted, or when the disciples left their families, how hard it was for them, how hard it is for all of us to follow the call to be who we are, to who we're called to be, I should say. And I know in my own life, and this whole process that Jung talks about as individuation, to not be pressured to be the person everybody else says I should be, the normal person, right? Be normal.
Whatever that means.
Exactly. It's to be the mass person, to not be the individual. There's so much struggle in my life that I've gone through. I can very much relate to Paul here, or whoever wrote it. I can very much relate to this idea of, oh my gosh, thank God that I have found my way through to the other side. And one more thing to say about this, Joseph Campbell has a great story he tells a lot, which is, we spend our early life climbing the ladder of success. Generally, in our culture, we do. And then we find at midlife that our ladder, unfortunately, most probably is set against the wrong wall. That's Campbell. And that's Jung, too. And that if we can be courageous enough to follow what is really calling us, then we finish the race.
I like that. You know, and that, what has been the quality of my loving, the quality of my giving. I believe that is the measure that we will be measured by.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, the difference between Peter and Paul in their kind of conversion moments.
Yeah.
Peter was out fishing, and Jesus called to him out of his ordinary life, was real gentle, real easy. He just dropped his nets and went. Paul had to be struck down and blinded for 3 days
Yeah.
for his conversion, or his his change, his reorientation. Sometimes conversion can be a laden word. So I appreciate that the two of them are together, because Peter is, even and steady. Paul has a lot of fire. And that those of us in our search for our true selves, in our search for God, and to be our best created beings that we are created to be, we come at it from different ways.
For sure.
That some people do have that strong, like, struck down, laying on the ground blind moment. And some, it's a more gradual, gentle thing. Just that lifetime.
I knew a man who was an atheist, and he went to India because his whole group of people were following a guru there, famous guru there. And Paul told me the story of how he was in line to receive a blessing, and he got struck in the spirit like a lot of people that night, that day. You know, the touching on the third eye part of the forehead and down. He didn't believe. What do we make of this guru anyway? So I don't know if I'm keeping this in, but it is another story of kind of the mystery and miraculous. And
But it didn't change him.
no, I guess it didn't.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I guess it
I
didn't.
mean, he experienced it in his own body.
Yeah, I don't know what he ever even made of it, but he told me the story. So maybe it made an impression that way. There's a TV show right now called Beef. It's about two people who have a road rage incident, and it's 10 episodes, and what happens to these two. It's full of a lot of shadow, and I really love it. It's a dark comedy, and at the end of it, we watched kind of a making of with the director and the two key people, and he says in there that especially the woman character is so buttoned up in this like corporate persona that all the bad things that happened to her over the 10 episodes are what she needs to break. And she does, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say, she does get converted at the end to a person that isn't so transactional and so driven. And I thought, I love that the director had said, you know, psychologically that's what she needed, and the God within us finds psychologically what we need and gives it to us, whether it's Bell's palsy or whatever it is. Being struck down is sometimes just what I need.
It's like waking up, right? Spiritually waking up.
Yeah.
How do I wake up?
Yeah.
And sometimes people need like that bucket of cold water.
Yeah.
As unpleasant as it is
Yeah.
to wake up, and some people wake up gradually. So here's a funny story. You can cut this out later.
Okay.
But as everyone knows, I have two wonderful children, and my daughter's older and my son's younger, and I was a Girl Scout camp counselor. And so in the morning, there's this funny song about these birds. Way up in the sky, the little birds fly. While down in the nest, the little birds rest. With a wing on their left and a wing on their right, the little birds sleep all through the night.
Oh.
Shh, they're sleeping. The bright sun comes up, the dew falls away. Good morning, the little birds say. And I would sing that to Joseph, and I'd say, good morning, Joseph. And he'd wake up happy and smiling. And then I'd walk across the hall, and I'd do the same thing for my daughter, who's a couple years older. And then she'd grimace, Mother, stop it. But, you know, she was awake too. So
That's a great story. It really fits.
same stimulus, different reactions, but they were both awake. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus went into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said in reply, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus said to him in reply, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven."
What do you think?
I think it's a powerful moment. Like Jesus is really asking, do you see who I am?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see me? Right? And that's a question I have, too, for others. Can you see me for who I really am? I do have to add that there is one other person in the Gospels who professes Jesus as the Christ. That's Martha, the sister of Mary. Right before the raising of Lazarus, she says, you are the Christ. You can do anything. I like the balance of that in the Gospels. And both are tender moments, real moments of connection.
Yeah. It's interesting because it makes me think about The Last Temptation of Christ. I'd never read the book, but the film, and how, if I want to be thinking literally about this guy who knows he's God and he's a guy, and how hard that would be, how hard it is for us all to find and claim our divinity. And he wasn't honored in his own town.
No.
And I personally know what it's like to not feel seen, and so to have a friend say, I see you, I get you.
Yes.
Yeah. And you say that to everyone, Marci, and that is what is so powerful and healing.
Really transformative to be seen. Like I can relax when someone sees me.
And I would say for me, it's I can bloom, I can blossom, I can grow.
Yes.
I can step into my whatever gifts I have. But it is like the water and the rain, the sun and the rain. My tomatoes haven't gotten a lot of sun yet. It's just been raining in Chicago. And we've gotten some sun recently, and boy, I see them like they're like, come on, let's go. They're ready. Yeah, and that's, I think, how it is when the mythologist Michael Meade talks about it a lot, this idea that we all need to have someone see us so that we can become our gift to the world. So I did a little research. This is Joseph Campbell. There is another interesting thing about the little company of apostles chosen by Christ. Remember that he said to St. Peter, you do not understand spiritual things. I will make you the head of my church. The same thing occurs in the Buddha legend, and there is something really wonderful about that. Really wonderful.
It is. And throughout the gospel, Peter is kind of like the head idiot.
Yeah.
And even immediately after this, Jesus says, okay, that means, I'm going to have to go and die. And Peter says, no, I'll stand up and fight for you. And Jesus says, get behind me, Satan. So we go from this beautiful moment to get behind me, Satan, very quickly.
Kind of a rough moment in their friendship. Gee whiz.
But it is Peter who's all in. I like that about him.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the foot washing business. Oh, you don't do it. I have to do it. Okay, then do all of me. Oh, no. Come on. Just settle down, Peter.
Yeah.
But that fullness of entering into it, even when it's a mistake.
The enthusiasm.
Yes.
To be filled with the enthusiasm is to be filled with God, right? Yeah. A little more in my research, I learned that there are some Gnostic, non-canonical writings. There's the Apocalypse of Peter, and there's the letter of Peter to Philip, and there's the Apocryphon of James, which Peter is somewhat is portrayed as somewhat short-sighted and confused by Jesus's esoteric teachings. Oh, if I had more time, I'd read these. It sounds fun.
Kind of like this letter from 2 Timothy, how Paul ended well, right? Peter, as a doofus as he was, ended well. He got out of jail that time, but he was arrested, in the 60s and crucified, and by Peter's request, crucified upside down.
Yeah.
Paul, on the other hand, said, nope, I'm a Roman citizen, so I just get beheaded.
Oh.
A much different kind of death.
Oh. Didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
So Paul didn't really want to suffer in that way.
I guess Paul figured he suffered enough.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
To each his own.
To each his own. But it is, I think, significant how each man chose to die. And they died close to each other time-wise. And that's kind of created the impetus to start writing down the Gospels because their leaders were dying,
Yeah.
In the first reading, we heard that James was killed by the sword.
Yeah.
And then Peter and Paul. And
yeah.
So they're like, oh, man, we better write this down. And so the Gospel of Mark was written shortly after their deaths.
Thank you so much for being with us, and we hope you'll share this podcast with anyone in your life that you think might like to listen to it while cleaning the house. That's my favorite way to listen to a podcast.
Or driving, right?
Sure, walking.
Walking.
Or I have a friend who listens and goes to sleep and has amazing dreams.
Wow.
Shout out to you, Pamela. Yay. Okay, well, and thank you for rating and following, and see you next week.